Hey guys, Rules for Rebels back with episode 37 of Side Hustle Thursdays. Today's story is about a man who made over $100,000 his first year selling t-shirts online. I know a lot of you guys, a lot of people are wanting to get into the TeeSpring Amazon merch apparel business. We have another story that focuses on that. So if you watch this series regularly, you probably remember a couple weeks back we talked about a woman who made over $17,000 in a single month selling t-shirts on Amazon merch. Today's story is going to be a little bit of a different twist on that. Instead of merch, today's side hustler used TeeSpring. Now, I've heard a lot of great success stories with TeeSpring. My personal experience has been less than ideal. I've ordered t-shirts from TeeSpring a couple times and have generally been kind of disappointed with the print quality as well as the material of the t-shirts. Although then again, I did order the lowest quality t-shirt. I think it was a Hanes t-shirt. That said, I have also run successful campaigns on TeeSpring and sold 50 shirts and met my goal using Facebook ads. I remember it was back around Halloween of, I believe, last year, right around the time Trump made that statement about grabbing women by the bleep. So as soon as I heard that, I knew it would be kind of a viral thing. I had one of the first shirts up using that phrase and wound up selling a few t-shirts and making a couple bucks. It came to an end quickly, but trends or viral news stories and things like that can be a great thing to capitalize on and make a little bit of money off a shirt. One other thing I wanted to add, we all know that Amazon merch has a pretty strong terms of service in terms of keeping your shirts family friendly, no weed shirts, no cuss words, nothing too, risque or vulgar. So for those types of shirts, you're going to want to bring it over to TeeSpring. That Trump shirt that I made, there's no way that would have been allowed on Amazon merch. But let's move on. So one other thing about TeeSpring and merch both have their pros and cons. TeeSpring is pretty open to any type of shirt, no matter how risque or vulgar, whereas Amazon has a much stronger terms of service that requires shirts to be family friendly. TeeSpring also doesn't really seem to care too much about copyright stuff, not really encouraging you guys to violate other people's copyrights and things like that, but TeeSpring isn't going to be super strict like Amazon is about that stuff. And Amazon merch, however, has the benefit of all that organic traffic, whereas with TeeSpring, you are responsible for driving your own traffic. So today's story is going to be about Benny Shu from Jacksonville, Florida. Benny is a former app designer, and Benny had a goal of entering a new line of work. He had an interest in fashion and had settled upon making t-shirts. His initial plan was to actually buy screen printing equipment and shirts and make his own. Now, for anyone who's doing print on demand is a great thing in that you don't need any inventory. It takes a lot of the workload off you. There's not a lot of risk. However, at the end of the day, actual screen printing produces a superior quality image and a longer lasting t-shirt. And if you're actually wanting to start a serious brand as opposed to just kind of hustling t-shirts, that's probably eventually the model you'll need to go with is actual screen printing. That said, there's a lot of money to be made hustling t-shirts, and it can be cheap, quick, easy, and risk-free, and it can be a great way to get a brand off the ground if you don't have a lot of startup costs. The other thing that Benny didn't like about the idea of screen printing is he would have to be the one printing and shipping the shirts out. Benny wanted to travel, so he decided to put his t-shirt business on the back burner for a while. However, sometime later, he had heard about a new site called TeeSpring where he could create t-shirts with a minimum of just 10 orders. He didn't need to buy any equipment, he didn't need to print and ship orders, and he didn't need to buy any inventory. He just needed 10 people to like and buy his shirt design. One problem Benny had was he had no large social media following. He had no email lists, essentially no customers to rely on. He decided to try running some Facebook ads, something I know a lot of us have tried. Now, I personally have struggled with Facebook ads, as I know many of you guys have too. Benny was no different. He started small, spending only $5 or $10 per day to test out some ideas and test out some designs. But Benny was persistent. He had 21 failed attempts before his ad finally worked out and before he finally got a sale. Now, these failures weren't huge and they didn't cost him a fortune. Again, he was only spending $5 or $10 along the way. And one smart thing he did was he kept detailed notes on what went right and what went wrong. And this is what we often refer to as split testing or A/B testing. You run two side-by-side ads with maybe a different image or something a little bit different about them, and we see which one does better, and we see which one the audiences respond to, and then we can kind of slowly fine-tune that ad until it really starts working well. So Benny did that, and on his 22nd attempt, he made a sale. He continued to let the ad run since it was successful, and at the end of the campaign, he had spent $80 on ads, but he had made $112 on TeeSpring, so that left him with a $30 profit. Now, a $30 profit isn't huge, but it was better than losing money. Benny continued doing this. In the morning, he would check his ad stats. In the evenings, he would design more shirts. His failed experiments were beginning to head in the right direction, and after 1 month, he had made over $1,000 in profit. even after subtracting ad costs. As Benny started to figure out what worked and what didn't work, he doubled down on his ad spend, and at the end of the first year, he had spent over $50,000 on Facebook ads, but he had actually made money by doing those ads. He actually wound up making $150,000 in commissions from TeeSpring, and that left him with a profit of just over $100,000. Now, this was the first time that Benny had ever hit six figures with an online hustle, and it felt great. I think there's a couple lessons we can take away from this story. Even without an existing audience, we can get started with Facebook or AdWords or other advertising methods. And while many of us have struggled with Facebook ads and converting, if you stick with it, split test, and run cheap ad campaigns, you can often figure out what works and what doesn't work without spending a fortune. One other lesson, it's not always about being the best graphic designer or having the best designs. Sometimes being able to optimize a campaign, run ads, and market it to the right audience, you'll wind up coming out on top. If you're creative and into designing and also kind of like to geek out on numbers and analytics, this could be a good side hustle idea for you. Anyhow, guys, that is today's side hustle. This is another one that's very doable. You can set up a TeeSpring account for free, and if you have $20 to $30 spare money lying around you can afford to put into your business, you could run probably a week or two's worth of Facebook ads and run some experiments and see what works. Now, for any of you guys who are anxious to get on Amazon merch but are on the waiting list, this may be something worthwhile to do in the meantime. And even for those of you guys who are already on Amazon merch, as long as you're making designs, why not upload them to multiple platforms? Upload them to Amazon merch as well as TeeSpring. Also, for some of you guys who make designs that maybe aren't friendly to Amazon's terms of service, TeeSpring might be a place to put them up because TeeSpring doesn't really seem to care what you put on your shirts. Anyhow, guys, rules for rebels. Until next time, signing off, and I will catch you guys on the next video.